Howdy peeps, and welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, I hope you enjoy your stay. Today we're going to talk about the most important thing that any fish or shrimp keeper needs to know, and it's pretty much the basic tenet that holds everything together, and that is the nitrogen cycle. Now, yes, I know you remember something about a nitrogen cycle from high school science. Don't worry about it, it's not as complicated as they made it seem back then. It's actually a pretty simple process. And I'm going to go through what it is and how to get it going today. So stay tuned. Right. So we're going to go to a patented Sharpie, high quality, professionally drawn diagram. Yeah, I know. I draw like a 5-year-old, but hey, it took me 30 seconds. Right, so we have a fish tank with happy fishies. We have a heater, we have a filter, gravel, rocks, wood, plants, all that kind of stuff. But what's making the fishies happy is the nitrogen cycle. Now, when a fish goes to the toilet, for want of a better word, whether it's through their vent or their gills, just accept that it happens. They produce ammonia, just like we do when we go to the toilet. Now, that ammonia is highly toxic to fish and pretty much any life there is, really. So we need to get rid of it. Now, how do you get rid of the ammonia? With bacteria. Don't worry, these are good bacteria. Think of them like Dr. Oetker or Yakult or something like that. Now, these bacteria that eat the ammonia then poop out nitrite, ammonia being NH4, nitrate being NO2, and they're a nitrosomonas bacteria. Now, we've got rid of the ammonia, we've turned it to nitrite. Well, nitrite is also highly toxic to fish and shrimp and snails and everything else. So we need to get rid of that as well, which is where another kind of bacteria comes into the game, as it were. That's the nitrospira, which convert the nitrite by going om and om and om and om, and they produce nitrate. Now, nitrate is a lot less toxic. Things like ammonia and nitrite can be as toxic in 1/4 of a part per million. Nitrate, before it is toxic to general fish, some fish are very sensitive to lots of things, but if you're running 30-40 parts per million nitrate, you're pretty safe. Now, how do we get rid of the nitrate? Well, you can have a full cycle, but we'll forget about that because it's very difficult to do, or requires an absurd amount of plants in the tank and very few fish, which then they take up the nitrate, and there's another kind of bacteria that eats the nitrate, and it just produces nitrogen. But what we do in a fish tank, because generally the complete cycle is a nightmare or not really possible most of the time, is we do a water change. The abbreviation being WC, because, we're basically flushing the fish's toilet for them. We do that. I do mine once or twice a week on some tanks. But I do have some very, very heavily stocked tanks that produce lots of poop and lots of nitrate. Now, how much you change depends on what the water test says. So if you've only got 10 parts per million nitrate, it's not really worth doing the water change unless you want to. I suggest that you do these things as a matter of course every week, because then you get more familiar with your tank, how it reacts to things, what's occurring in it in general. And it's always good to get your hands wet. Now, how do we know what's going on with the water? Well, that's where the home chemistry set comes in. Now, don't worry, don't panic. You can get test strips. Now, these ones don't actually test for ammonia, they only test for the pH of the water, the potential hardness, the nitrite, the nitrate, and the general, or calcium hardness and general hardness. So you can get yourself some with ammonia on them as well, or you can go with the one of the many, and there are different brands and makes of all these things. I've got the API freshwater test kit because it's the one I've got. This is a liquid test kit with test tubes and liquids, and yes, it's all very scientific to do. It's easy to do. Just follow the instructions and you can't go wrong. Lasts for a fair while as well, so you don't have to worry about it. Another thing that's very useful, a little 5mm syringe, because you need 5mm of tank water to do the tests. It's very easy to measure out with that. Now you're thinking, okay, now we know what the nitrogen cycle is. How do we actually get it started, Sharpie? You're rambling on all this stuff, but how do we actually do it? Well, there are many ways to do it. There's the safest way, and the way that most people say to do, which is the fishless cycle, whereby you add a source of ammonia, you add some bottled bacteria, and you do your water tests until the tank is processing 4 parts per million of ammonia into nitrate in 24 hours. I'm not a fan of that technique, simply because I like to have things in my tank swimming around or running around or crawling around, whatever. So what I do is a fish in cycle, but that isn't just putting fish in the tank and hoping for the best. What I do is I'll use plants or wood from another tank, clean out a filter from another tank, or even just move a filter, and add bottled bacteria, and generally I don't have any issues. Got some detritus worms in here. Oh well, never mind. Been overfeeding the shrimp then. As I say, there are many ways of cycling a tank. And if, for example, you've got a 10 gallon or 40 litre tank and you're just going to be keeping one betta fish in there. I don't have any bettas at the moment, so I just show you an electric blue acara instead, because these guys are just photo whores. Now, if you've got a 10 gallon tank that's heavily planted with real plants, not fake plastic ones, and you put one betta in there, yeah, don't worry about cycling it, because the bioload that one betta produces is going to get taken up by the plants, and you won't even see nitrates, because the plants will just take in all of the ammonia, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, as I say, there are many ways to do it. I'm not going to cover all of them here. I also like just sticking a few snails in to start as well. If I've not got any fish to go in there straight away, I'll chuck a few snails in. I've usually got some nerites rumbling around. If not, you know, I've got a tank full of ram's horns. Oh, little boysy's out. There's a Limia perugiae male. He's a endangered species. And we have a trio of Nanacara anomala, or the golden-eyed cichlid. Now, the reason when I talk about cycles is, and I talk about overstock tanks, is I have tanks like this. There's like 150 bristle noses in there, along with the mollies. There's sort of 80 odd in there, there's another 150 odd in there. There's 100 super reds in there. You know, massively overstocked, so that's why I do the 2 water changes a week on those. But yeah, so basically add an ammonia source, add some bacteria, and do your water tests. And once the water tests come back, you've got no ammonia, no nitrite, you just got nitrate showing, you're good for fish. It's really not that complicated. Now, if you get a little spike of something, don't panic. You may just have tested the water where a fish has literally just peed. You know, it happens. I've done one water test and it came out 1 part per million ammonia. I was like, that's not right. Retested it like 5 minutes later and it came back as 0. I basically just tested a fish pee. Is what was going on there. Anyway, so there we go. Ammonia, nitrate, nitrogen cycle. Easy enough to get your head around. Don't worry about it. Just understand that that's what happens and you won't go far wrong. So there we go. I might go into more detail on different cycling methods in future videos, but we shall leave it at that for now because we don't want to bore new fish keepers for too long. So thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your hobby. It's an awesome hobby to be part of. Have fun. Peace out. Rock on. And bye bye. Bye bye.